All right, welcome to the People's Fantasy Football Podcast. This is our Thursday night show. We got football in the background on Mike's screen. Uh, Tonight, we're going to be talking about our start, sit, sleeps of the week. We got Believer Meter. We got Mike's Padlock of the week. We got our DK lineups, the ideal lineups that we're going to be doing, and kind of who we're avoiding as well. But let's talk a little bit about tonight's game. Mike, do you have any kind of bold predictions or thoughts on this game at all?
I don't know if I have bold predictions, but I think this is actually an exciting game to watch. I mean, I know it's not two good teams, but when you talk about fantasy, I think both offenses have a chance to go off. So Jahan Dotson, Khalil Herbert, all these guys that are, if he plays, I'm playing them tonight.
Yeah, you don't know about either defense, really. I think they can both be a little sketchy. I didn't introduce you guys, but Mike Rossi, as always, Joey G Money, Janolfi, and we got Just Matt again. Just Matt is
Matt.
in the house.
Just Matt. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, he still has it. All right, Joe, what are you thinking about tonight's game?
I mean, I like it for my Sam Hall starting quarterback. I think him and Terry are going to have a big game tonight. Interested to see if Justin Fields can do it 2 weeks in a row and see if he's got something going. But I don't believe in it. But we'll see. We'll see if he keeps the same mechanics that he changed last week.
Matt, what do you think? You agree with these guys?
I don't know. Thursday night games to me are always like wishy-washy. I do agree that on one hand it can be crazy good offensive, not good, but sloppy offensive game for fantasy, but on the other hand, it could just be another Thursday night. Guys just had a couple days of rest, sloppy defensive game.
Just going through the motions.
I did try to make some moves for DJ Moore. Didn't work out for tonight, and I did also try to make a move for Brian Robinson, which also didn't work out for tonight. So I do think it could be fantasy relevant for sure.
Now, those trades were those in the league that we're all in?
Yes, they were, and I
Is it the guy who doesn't respond to anybody? Is that what it is?
Which one? But yeah,
there's a couple of them in there. All right, let's get the show running here. Let's do our start, sit, and the sleep of the week. And Mike, I want you to start with your start of the week.
My start of the week is Jordan Addison. Last week, if you started him, you weren't very happy. He goosed you. 0 points. Obviously, it's tough to give somebody confidence now after they just goosed you, but especially when they're going up against a good Chiefs defense, they've proven to be better than people expected, and he only played 58% of the snaps last week. But I want to give confidence because I think that was game scripted. I think last week they went into it, they're going against the Panthers, and they did a lot of 12 personnel. And when there's only two wide receivers on the field, it's JJ and it's KJ. It's not Jordan Addison. He's the third wide receiver on that team. They're not going to be able to do that this week against the Chiefs. They're going to be in 11 personnel a lot more. So I think you're going to see more of what you saw against the Chargers in week 3, where he played like 75% of the snaps. So just want to make people confident to still put him in your lineup, even after he goosed you.
Yeah. This could be a track meet. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, Vikings can't stop anybody. So the Chiefs are going to score. So even if it's garbage time, it's still going to be fantasy relevant.
Yeah. Joe, who's your start of the week?
Start of the week is Alan Lazard. This could be a little bit of a reach to some people, but I like Lazard. I think he's a good red zone target. He got 3 for 61 and a touchdown last week against a strong defense. And Mike's champ of the week, Zach Wilson, even though he blew the game last week, did look better and looked like he started to get something going. He was spreading the ball around. He looked like an NFL starting quarterback last week. So going against what I think is a weaker defense this week, I like going with Lazard and thinking he can build on what they did last week, because Garrett Wilson's still going to get his double teams. Teams got to watch against him on the pass, and you got to watch for that running game with Breece Hall. So I think it's a good opportunity for Lazard. Yes, Mike, what are you raising your hand for?
You did not have to say I think it's a weaker defense. They're going against the
It is
Broncos.
a weaker defense.
It's the
Yes,
weakest of
it's a
defenses.
I know. I'm political, man. I like to cover myself.
Yeah, it's a team. It's an easy team to kind of pick on in fantasy right now.
Correct. Yeah.
Matt, who's your start of the week?
I'll just keep the trend going with the Jets. I'm gonna say my start of the week is Brees Hall. Coach came out and said, you're just gonna start giving him his load back. He said, and this is, I think I read somewhere this is about a year after the injury. So this is usually when the ACL starts to heal
Where
up.
it happened. Yeah, that's right. Mike.
Yeah, so I think he's going to blow up this week. And I, again, tried to make multiple trades for him in different leagues and didn't work out. So
I like him a lot this week as well.
Sounds like
he's
you need to
playing the
boost
Denver
your
Broncos
offers up a
defense.
little bit there, Matt.
I just did.
People are scared to
Some
trade,
goes-
man.
People are
Yeah.
very
Gotta be
scared.
like,
You know
gotta be
what?
like,
And side note, in fantasy football, we tend to fall in love with our guys and we overvalue our guys. So I think it might be a fair trade. Other than like, oh come on, Puka.
yeah. Unless you're Rossi, you overvalue your own players too much. Mike will
I
get rid
trade
of
everybody.
Yeah, Mike is
Yeah,
a
Ross-
I
complete
He's
overvalue
opposite.
everybody else's players.
He's envious of what everyone else has and just tries to trade his team away every single year. All right. I like it. No, I love Brees
What do
Hall
you
this
got,
week.
Doug? What do you got?
So my star of the week is Calvin Ridley. So far this year, he's had a slower start. He had a boom game to start the year, but then it's been Christian Watson's show. Last week, Christian Kirk. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting. Christian Kirk had 12 targets last week to Calvin Ridley's 2. So luckily, one of those 2 went for a score, but there's been talk that he has been struggling with the press man coverage. And so I think teams are going to start doing that to him a little bit. That all being said, the reason he's my start this week is because he's still the most talented guy there. The Bills secondary is depleted right now, and they're going to have to keep up with that team by passing the ball. So I like him a lot this week, especially with Tre'Davious White going down. I think they should feed him as much as they can. All right.
I like
Yeah.
it.
It's a smart start.
All right, Mike, who's your sit?
My sit, I went on the defensive end, and I'm going with the Cincinnati defense. I think they're ranked pretty.
Defense.
I know it is. I couldn't find a good sit, so I was like, I'm just going with the defense. I don't care. I'm not. I'm last week I went 0 for 3. I'm trying not to do it again this week. All right, Joe. So,
By the way, Mike, real quick
Bengals,
before you go, I'm sorry to cut you off. We still need to get a bet between the 5 of us here about the start, sit, sleep of the week, right? Because we're going to keep track of this the rest of the way.
Yeah, and we have it up to date right now, so we'll get it in there eventually. But Bengals D, I think they're valued and they're going against the Cardinals offense. And when you just look on paper, it looks like a matchup that you want. They're ranked top 10 for this week on points. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I don't think the Cardinals are going to come up over here and light it up, but Dobbs hasn't turned the ball over this year. And the one thing the Bengals have is pass rush, and Dobbs can elude the pass rush. He can rush it. So if you played the San Francisco 49ers defense last week against the Cardinals, you got 3 points. If you played the Cowboys defense the week before against the Cardinals, you got 3 points. That's 2 of the best defenses of the league. So I'm not taking my shot in Cincinnati.
All right. It's a little bit of a cop out, but you might get it. What are they projected this week? Is it saying? Do you know what they're projected? In
9 points.
9 points.
Yeah. Which was
a good
ranked
chance
10th. So I mean, they're projected as a starting defense. So I'm telling you to sit as starter. That's not a cop out, right?
Okay. All right, Mike. Joe, who's your sit?
So my sit is Miles Sanders. He's playing against the Lions, who have only allowed 243 yards rushing this season. So they've been strong against the run. I think he got outsnapped last week by Chuba, however the hell you say it. But I mean, he hasn't done anything to show me anything special. I've lost all faith in him because I didn't have a lot of faith in him in the beginning of the season, as he was my pick one of my top 3 picks for not performing to what he did last year. And he's right on track. So I'm good with it, and I'm going to run with it this week.
Yeah, he's not looking great, and he's banged up, and he's kind of been banged up all year. I think, right? He had the groin injury coming in.
I mean,
to the year.
so to me,
It's the
fuck
groin.
that. Guys who had good years and then start slow, that all of a sudden an injury creeps up. I just think he's showing that he can't do it. He was in a good situation in Philly.
He was on the injury report from the beginning of the year. This isn't something that crept up, but he is averaging 2.9 per rush right now.
Yeah, it's worse. It's probably worse than Najee.
It's bad.
Probably.
I know he was averaging 3 targets a game or 3 catches a game. Would have been 3 catches. Either way.
He has 15 on the year.
Yeah, he was catching the ball, but yeah, it's hard to rely on a running back who can't run the ball. So,
nope.
All right, Matt, who's your sit of the week?
My sit of the week is Trevor Lawrence. Mainly because the Bills kind of stifled that Dolphins offense after they just granted they dropped 70 on the Broncos, but still they held them down. Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been playing what we expected Trevor Lawrence to play like. You can blame I just think he misses the receivers I've been watching him. He's done all my fantasy teams. He just misses the receivers by this much all the time, So I think I think he could find better options.
All right.
Matt, you I just want to throw a couple names at you, see if if you'd start him over Trevor Lawrence.
He loves doing this.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is Mike's game.
Jordan Love against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Jared Goff against the Panthers.
Yes.
And how about Sam Howell tonight against the Bears?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, why not? I mean, at this point, I'm not dropping Trevor Lawrence. I'm sitting.
Oh, of course not.
Hey.
No,
and I might not
even, with White being out, Buffalo could have a little bit of a setback, but their pass rushes look good. And did Vaughn make the trip?
I think he's starting this week.
I think Vaughn made the trip, so their pass rush has been good without him. Getting him back, and with how bad Trevor's looked under pressure, I think it's a good matchup.
He officially practiced today too.
Yeah, so I like it. And plus, staying in London all week, I know you don't want to travel back and forth, but anytime you gotta stay away like that for a long period of time, I don't know.
And that's the only thing that I might think actually might benefit them in another sense, because they're not making the flight across the sea like Buffalo is. So
yeah, they're already adjusted a little bit.
Yeah, they might be a little adjusted. But
do you guys know?
Food sucks in London.
Is the NFL? Are they? Is it the Jags? They want the Jags there. Is that why they're doing 2 in a row?
I think that's what.
There was a thing with that. They were trying to get them there. I think at one point.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea, honestly.
No,
it probably sucks for the player. I'm sure the players.
Yeah, that's tough travel. That is very tough travel.
Yeah. But all right, my sit of the week is Pacheco. I'm going with Isaiah Pacheco, and last week he ran the ball 20 times, which was season high and second most in 23 games he's played in the NFL. This week he's going against a Vikings team that's allowed less than 100 yards in 3 out of the 4 games this season. That Vikings team, we just shit on that defense, right? They do give up a lot of yards and points, but it's mainly through the air. It's not on the ground unless they're facing the Eagles and DeAndre Swift on a Thursday night. So, I don't know. Not to mention that the Chiefs, that's what they want to do, right? Patrick Mahomes, they want to pass the ball a ton. They don't want to run the ball. Matt knows this more than anybody. He's the Chiefs fan here. Also, they have 2 other backs that are still rotating in. And if this is going to be a passing game, it's going to be Jerick McKinnon's game. And they like to mix in Clyde with that as well. So for me, Pacheco is a touchdown or bust kind of guy because he doesn't get the catches and usually doesn't get that many carries in the game. So I think this is going to be a more pass heavy game, and this is not going to be his game.
That's a tough one.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to work Pacheco into my DraftKings lineup this week. I didn't end up.
I don't think he can hear us, Joe. Sorry, you
I
can't
can
hear
hear
us
you.
right now.
I can hear you.
Oh, now you can. Okay. All right.
No,
all right.
I've been hearing you. The whole time. Yeah. Listen,
I like Pacheco this week. I like him coming off a big game last week. I think it's going to make Reed want to run the ball more. And I think he likes doing the opposite of what defenses usually play against at the beginning of the game to try to establish something different. So I like Pacheco this week. I think you're going to lose that one this week, Doug.
all right. I think it could be you could be chasing points there because, like I said, he's only run that much or more once in his entire career, in his entire 23 games in the NFL. I doubt it's going to happen back-to-back weeks.
Let him eat.
Matt's the expert, though. Matt, what do you think?
As I lean more towards they're gonna, I think with the lack of receiving for the Chiefs, like I'd say they're gonna want to lean a little bit on the run, but I do think that they want to pass. Like, all right, they want to lean on the run because they have to, but they
Yeah.
want to pass. You know what I mean? They want Mahomes. They want Mahomes to throw touchdown passes. So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I think Pacheco's been running really well though. So if it's not broke, if it's working, do it.
No, he's running hard. He's running hard. I think it's just the matchup.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think Pacheco's getting pretty lucky because he's running hard and he's actually hitting a hole. But I think it's by accident. He's hitting that hole by accident.
Oh shit! I did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
There it is.
Daylight.
Unless he matured a lot in 2 weeks, man. I don't know, because like that guy runs really hard, but it's always right into a wall. So I mean,
All right, Mike, who's your sleep of the week?
My sleeper of the week is Wan'Dale Robinson. He's played 2 games this year back from the ACL. And he's picked up play time in both games. He's getting more and more snaps. Now I know it's the Giants offense and they looked god awful last week. But he still caught 5 of his 6 targets in his second week back. So if there was, a silver lining, it's that Wan'Dale looked like he actually could be a part of this offense. And to be honest, I don't care if they look bad because if they're down 45 points and Daniel Jones gets carted off the field or just carried off the field, I want to say carted because I don't want to say an injury, but just because he's been sacked 20 times, he's going to get his garbage time stuff. So I think you can have confidence if you have some buys, plug Wan'Dale in there, especially in the PPR, and he's going to produce.
It's a crapshoot with that team, with what wide receiver to go with. But one of them is probably going to hit this week. All right, Joe, who's your sleep of the week?
Sleep of the week is Nick Westbrook. I don't know how to spell the last part of his name. No, I'm not gonna lie.
Akine?
It's a deep
he had
sleep.
a good week. It's a deep sleep. He had a decent game last week. He had 50 and a touchdown. They're going against the Colts, who obviously have allowed some points and ranked 28th against the pass. So I think it's a good matchup. I think Colts, obviously, they got to worry about Derrick Henry first before they worry about the pass because most people aren't worried about Tannehill. So I'm hoping with the defense coming up to the line of scrimmage. And then Burks is questionable going into this week again. So if he doesn't get the playing time, Westbrook has to get it. So I like his size too. So that's my sleeper. I think it's a good matchup, and he's coming off a pretty decent week last week.
All right. That's what the sleeper is all about. Matt, what do you have for your sleeper of the week?
So following up on the Pacheco, I went with Jerick McKinnon as the sleeper of the week, basically contradicting half of what I said. But
you said they wanted to pass first.
They do. I don't know, man. Like McKinnon is that break glass in case of emergency guy, and when they do break that glass, he scores you like 20 points. This is going to be like, what is it? Under over is one of the highest games of the week. Doug said to ask you, Joe. So if it's a shootout, they're probably going to break the glass, and McKinnon's going to come through. So that's my sleeper.
There's not anybody on the Chiefs offense I don't like this week, to be honest with you guys. I think Chiefs put up 40-something this week.
Wow.
Yeah. Good.
52.5 is the over-under.
That's high. as a
Yeah.
high over-under.
I think this could be Mahomes' big week right here. You know, he hasn't really had one yet this year. This could be the one. All right. My sleep of the week is Christian Watson. I was trying to say Christian Watson earlier because I probably just had him on my mind. But yeah, I'm going Christian Watson for the sleep. Last week, it was his first game since the hammy injury. He's not on the injury list at all this week. And he's an explosive talent. So, you know, with Vegas, who's been struggling against the pass, I like him this week. Hopefully he comes out. Hopefully this is his coming out party. All right. So that's our
Could be a
start
tasty
sit,
matchup
sleep.
for him.
Could be. That's our start sit sleep of the week. And so we are going to transition now into our believer meter. And the first guy I want to talk about in the believer meter is Mr. Joshua Dobbs. Did you guys see that thing where he couldn't find his jersey?
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
Fucking put the
Oh,
guy's
geez.
jersey in. As soon as he gets signed, fucking put his jersey in the system.
Yeah.
Like
seriously.
customizing, they couldn't do it.
Yep. I thought that was pretty wild. So he's been pretty good so far this year. Don't have his exact stats right now, but where you guys at on him? I got a 4. Joe, you're with a 4 as well. Mike, you're 5. Matt, what are you at?
You see
That's
that?
a 5.
It's a 5.
5. All right. So we're all right in the same realm here. None of us are huge believers, but none of us are non-believers. Again, so the believer meter, I didn't explain this, but it's the same as the panic meter, right? It's just kind of the other way around. And we're throwing out names here that do we believe that they're going to be good the rest of the way this season or not? And if you don't believe, then that would be a 0. If you're a high believer in them, then you're going 10. So we're all right in the middle of it. Mike, why don't you explain your 5?
Well, I do believe in Josh Dobbs. I think he has that Russian baseline. I'll explain the full thing. He has that Russian baseline. He doesn't turn the ball over. So I think he's a safe option with high upside when he does get like a Russian touchdown or something. But I don't know if he's going to play the full year. So I can't believe in him because if Kyler comes back, he's useless. So that's why he's a 5, because I believe in his play for fantasy. But if he doesn't come back, if he doesn't start the whole year, then I can't give him a 10, you know?
Okay. That's
So
an
the
interesting
only
take
thing
on
I
it.
question, you gave him a 5, but you just took the defense. You told not to play the defense that's going against him. Why wouldn't you put him higher?
Well, no, because he
don't you
just
have
said he
more faith
believes
I
in
just
in
explained
him.
it, Joe.
Yeah, he believes in him. He just doesn't believe he's going to be the starter the rest of the year
Well,
because
you
he thinks
believe
Kyler
in
Murray's
him.
going to come back.
So I literally just explained this. When we
I get it. I
are
just think
done,
if you believe
just
in
go back and
somebody,
listen.
you should.
Mike,
Go ahead.
do you believe
I
in
think
him?
if you-
So, Mike, you believe in him this week then? What would it be? What would your number be
That's
if
what
it
I
was
wanna
this
know.
Yeah, just for this week. What's the number?
Oh, if it was just this week and not
Yeah.
the full year,
Not
I'll
full year.
say I got a 7 on him for just this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it
Dobbs
is
throws
a
2
decent
picks this
defense.
week.
I don't think so. I think he's smart with the ball and he has that Russian baseline, like I said. So
All right, let's jump to the next guy. We're going to talk Garrett Wilson now. He's an interesting case because it's more not that you believe in Garrett Wilson. I think we all believe that he's a great talent and is a great receiver. But do you believe Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson? That's really what it is. So I'm at an 8. Joe, you're also at an 8. Mike's at an 8.
oh, Matt had to
Matt's
one
at
up
a
us.
9. Matt one up to us. So Matt, since you won up to all of us,
Oh,
you're
geez.
talking.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
God.
He didn't learn from what I did.
The talent alone right there. I mean, Garrett Wilson's a beast. Like, he won Rookie of the Year with the same offense that he's playing with now. We just expected so much because he had Aaron Rodgers coming into the season. And 3 plays in, Aaron Rodgers is gone. So I do think Garrett Wilson could still come through at what he did, if not better, last season as the season progresses. So, yeah, I believe.
Yeah, last
And
week he
also,
had.
too,
Go ahead, Joe.
if Brees Hall's healthy and gonna and stays healthy and gets healthier, it's only gonna help open things up for Garrett Wilson. I think this offense is starting to gel a little bit as we saw last week, and if it stays on that trend, the offense could be fine. They could still get to the playoffs with the defense that they have.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, he looked decent. He looked like he could be an NFL quarterback this past week. Garrett Wilson had 9 catches for 60 yards, so he was definitely getting the looks as well. I think he had 11 or 12 targets.
Yeah, it was a double-digit number.
14 targets.
14. Okay, so I mean, if he's smart, he's just going to keep on feeding him.
Real quick, the Jets, there's a bye week in between this, but their next 5 matchups are Denver, Philly, Giants, Chargers, and Raiders. Those are all easy secondaries to pass the ball against. So he's got it mapped out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you were saying that earlier, Matt, before the show.
Yeah,
that you love the Jets schedule coming up.
Gotta be trying to trade hard for Garrett Wilson.
He's trying to get the Jets on his team.
I didn't go for Garrett Wilson, but now I'm thinking maybe it's a trade for candidate. So,
all right, let's go to the next guy, Alexander Madison. This has kind of been my guy, I guess. I kind of put myself in a corner with him, so I have to stick with him. But the past couple of weeks, man, he's had 20 carries for 93 yards and 17 for 95. So you guys are still low on him. Joe, you got a 3. Mike, you got a 4. I'm gonna go 8. Wow. And Matt's at a 5. So Joe, since you're low and don't believe in him at all, why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
So I think part of it has to do is because I was high on him coming into the season. And I thought, with the way that they can pass the ball, it was going to open things up for him.
So
and haven't seen him take advantage of it. Yeah, he started to get a little better, but I just also too, this defense looks awful. And if they're coming from behind all the time, or and then these high scoring affairs, they have to throw the ball, and JJ is just going to keep getting his. And I see more 300 to 400 yard games for Kirk Cousins and them relying on the pass to get things done. Last year, obviously, they had they had a minus point differential, so it tells you they had to score a ton last year too. And he hasn't gelled as well as I thought. Like last year when he subbed for Cook and stuff, he had good games, but hasn't been there this year. Hasn't shown that he can be the guy you count on, and just nothing for me to believe in. 1 or 2 games is not going to do it for me with overall how he's looked running the ball and not hitting the holes right.
All right, so just
quick,
to counter that a little bit, do you have to go take a piss, Mike?
No. I had more to add on the bad side of Madison before you counter with the good.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that the Vikings, their biggest downfall this year has been fumbles. And I mean, the whole team I think the coach actually said something like, we got to hold on to the ball. Mm-hmm. And it's not Kirk Cousins turning the ball over. It's fumbles. And they traded for Cam Akers, who is basically the same style running back as Madison. And you have to imagine that Madison's 1 or 2 fumbles away from just losing that role completely. If he can't hold on, it doesn't matter how well he's running the ball. If he can't hold on to it, it's going to be Cam Akers' job. So that's why I'm not believing him yet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to counter it a little bit, Joe said he can't go with a guy who's had 1 or 2 good games this season. We're 4 games into the season, and he's had 2 good games, 2 pretty good games running the ball.
Yeah. So again, he's still, if you've watched him, he's missed a lot of lanes, not gone to the right holes. And
he's never been an explosive back. Never has been. He's always been like a workload guy. That's why I like him, because he is getting the workload right now. And he's being productive enough. I don't think he fumbled the last 2 games. So
he did. There was a few times taken back. Yeah, because of forward progress. One of them was bullshit, and he did that. He got copped out a few times.
He doesn't hold on to it
well. All right. Let's move on to the next guy. Let's talk a little DMont. Let's talk David Montgomery. We talked about him a decent amount in the last show, but he exploded. Had 32 carries for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns this past week.
I don't want to believe.
Yeah, I'm at a 7. Rossi's at a 4, which is pretty surprising. Joe 6, and Matt is at a 7 as well. So, Mike, I got to go to that 4. What are you not believing in this man?
Well, I looked up his numbers a little bit, and right now he's the RB9. So when you're asking me if I believe in David Montgomery, it's basically, do I believe he's a running back 1 for the year? And I just don't believe that's true. He's still averaging like 3.8 a carry. He got three touchdowns last week, right? 3 touchdowns last week.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's not going to happen every week. So I just don't see him. And Jahmyr Gibbs is still learning this offense. And the more he learns and the more he gets used to NFL defenses and finds the holes and can make that cut, he's the better running back. Demont's getting the time right now because he just knows NFL defenses. He knows to be patient. He knows how to find the holes and things like that. So I think as the year progresses, Demont's going to get less time. And I just don't see him holding that value as an RB1.
Okay.
It's
so
kind
you're
of
holding
like
him-
it's a tell.
Go ahead.
It's a
Jeff.
telling sign that the guy got 32 carries last week. I mean, it's a lot. So they're obviously not worried about him breaking down. I believe in him not as an RB1 though. I believe him as a fantasy relevant back for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think you're holding him at
probably-
a high standard, Mike, with that. I don't think he's going to
Yeah.
hold that up. and I
Maybe.
think we all know that. But I'm buying him as an RB2 the rest of the way, as long as
Yeah.
I definitely see him as at least a high. I think he's still going to be a high RB2 because his touchdown value is too high. Lions move the ball downfield, and they, like we saw last year, and they're doing it this year too. When they're inside the
same
10,
system. Yeah.
Dan Campbell
Mhm.
wants to run the fucking football, and
Yeah.
that's what
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to do. So just the touchdowns alone, I think, is going to keep him relevant, even if Gibbs starts to take away his snaps. But Campbell's just got to trust in him, obviously, right now. And I think you got to be confident in it.
Yeah, Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns last year. I think
Mhm.
right now Montgomery's on pace for more than that. He's on pace for like 20 or something.
It's stupid.
So
I mean, Dan Campbell's also a pretty straightforward coach, which I think we all appreciate a guy like him. And he did say he's not gonna rush Gibbs in. He's gonna work him in at his
Exactly.
own pace, So I think Gibbs is going to play a bigger role, but I don't think that's going to take away David Montgomery's role.
yeah, I don't think he's the type to play mind games. he's,
No.
he's too
Very
straightforward.
straightforward.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the last guy, Cole Kmet. This past week, he had 7 catches for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, they were against the Denver Broncos, though. So I'm at a 4. Mike's at a 2. My 4. Where are you guys at, Joe and Matt?
You got an 8 showing, Doug.
No, I crossed
Hold it up.
Crossed it.
I know, but you can only see the 8.
All
There you
right.
go.
Joe's at a 7, and Matt is at a 4.
Wow, Joe.
All right, so Joe, you got to talk about 7, man. You believe in him.
So I believe in Cole Kmet. I'm not still yet a believer in the guy who's throwing him the football. But I think the talent is there at Cole Kmet. He's a good route runner. He can block, so he's going to get a lot of snaps. So he's going to get a lot of playing time. So it's not like he's a guy that's going to get pulled out. He can split out as a wide receiver. He's got good enough speed for a tight end. He's got good size. He is, I think, a prototypical NFL tight end. And I think if he was on a different offense, I think he would have been much higher in people's drafts. I think the one thing that holds him back is Fields. And coming off a good week last week, I hope for Cole Kmet's capability that he can keep that Fields can keep it up. But I also think this team's going to be behind and have to pass a lot. And I think he looks like possibly the best, most consistent pass receiving option.
He could. I just don't know how much of it was Denver Broncos. I thought Rossi was going to come at you with, well, he's on the Bears, so where's the upside there? Because why are you believing in him if you're telling me that you don't like the offense?
You're finished with everybody, Joe.
Yeah.
Every bear. And now you believe in him.
I've always believed in Cole Kmet, man. He's from Notre Dame.
I think we also
Yeah, I
have
just-
to take into consideration that Cole Kmet is a tight end, and tight ends are, it's a crapshoot after what
Mhm.
Kelsey and Andrews and Hawkinson, possibly and Kittle, but
No, you can't put Kittle there. Kittle's not there
Kittle's,
anymore.
he hasn't
Not
done it this
anymore.
year.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
You're
too
right.
inconsistent.
You're right.
Like you said, it's been
He's
a
a
crapshoot.
primetime beast. He's a primetime beast. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Before this game in half PPR, he hasn't reached 7 fantasy points before week 4 in a single game. So I mean, if that was Kyle Pitts, we'd be all shitting on him. But not to bring up Kyle Pitts again. But it was the Broncos offense and the Broncos
offense?
defense. Broncos defense and Justin Fields threw for 335 yards. Like, that's not going to happen probably ever again. And I just don't see, like, I like Cole Kmet. Joe, I agree with everything you say, that I like his talent. He's good. He's a good blocker. He gets the snaps. But when it comes to fantasy value, is what we're talking about, he's just so inconsistent that I just can't believe in him.
Yeah, it's again like that's the same thing Matt said. It's tough to believe in any tight end outside of those top three guys. All right, that was our believer meter. That was fun. I like it. Let's go to the next segment. Everyone's favorite segment, Mike's Padlock of the week. Mike,
all right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
My Padlock of the week is somebody who is on the Chiefs. Matt, I figured you'd like that one. It's Rashee Rice is going to score a red zone touchdown. I think he's building some chemistry with Mahomes. He's the biggest bodied receiver besides Kelsey, obviously, on that team. He's getting more snaps, and they don't have a true number one. So I think this is his time to kind of take over that role. Even though it's not going to be a true number one, he's going to be Mahomes' favorite target outside of Kelsey. This is a high-scoring matchup. I think it's going to hit the over. So a lot of red zone opportunities. I can see him pulling one down in the corner red zone, jumping over the defender, and coming down a touchdown.
So it's Rashee
It'd be
Rice.
fun to watch.
Rashee Rice.
That's funny because Mike, my sleeper, I have two crossed off before I ended with McKinnon, and Rashee Rice was my first sleeper. Then it was
So
Addison.
you're sleeping right now, Matt.
Hey, just because we're talking about a sleep doesn't mean you have to have your eyes closed, Matt.
All right, good Padlock of the week. So I was gonna say Matt shouldn't be happy about that because you haven't hit on one yet. Is that what?
No, I'm 0 for 3. This is our third week. I'm 0 for 3. Well, granted, this is our second week of Padlock, but I did guarantee Kyle Pitts touchdowns back-to-back weeks, so we're counting those as losses as well.
I was hoping the Zach Charbonnet would come through last week.
Yeah,
on that 1 yard line touchdown run. Yeah.
Well, not that
great.
I was hoping. No. Me and Matt were going against each other. I needed some points from Walker to get the win.
I was saying
Charbonnet. Negative point, 10 points before that.
Yep.
Charbonnet does look good though. Kid's running hard.
Yeah, he's that guy. He's not scared to get down and hit somebody. He just trucks people.
Yep. All right. Let's jump to our DK lineups of the week here. And we're all going to give our lineups that we're going to do as of right now, but come check back in on Saturday. What time should we check in on Saturday on the Instagram?
Oh, I don't know. Don't hold me to an actual time, but sometime on Saturday we'll post it.
Yeah, they'll be up by the night.
On Saturday.
They'll be up before.
You'll have plenty of time.
They'll be up before the games on Sunday.
Yes.
But as of right now, on Thursday night, we're going to tell you who we're liking this week for DK. And Mike, why don't you start with your quarterback of the week?
My quarterback, we talked about him a lot. He's super cheap, 4,900. Zach Wilson against the Broncos defense.
Yeah, enough said. Joe, who's your quarterback?
There's a time to take him. I'm going to let you know 3 positions I paid the most money you can pay for. And quarterback is one of them. Give me Patty Mahomes this week.
Yeah.
And let him sling it against the Vikings. I mean, this should fucking be an unbelievable performance.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be a bloodshed there.
So you went Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Justin Jefferson. Those are my 3 guesses at our end Joe's lineup, and I haven't seen it yet. So
I think that's solid guesses. But JJ is expensive. I'll talk about that later too. Matt, who's yours? Who's your quarterback?
I went with Matthew Stafford. I like his for the price against Philly. Especially if Cooper Kupp's coming back. He's going to have plenty of weapons on that field. And honestly, he's just, a touchdown or 2 away from being a relevant fantasy starter. So,
all right. You can't make any facial expressions right now.
The Eagles
can't.
Like...
Go ahead, Mike.
Am I freezing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, you're freezing. Yeah.
Your audio's fine.
Oh,
I was gonna say
all
you
right.
can't run against the Eagles, but you can definitely pass against them. That's all I was gonna
Oh yeah.
say.
For sure. I'm going to keep the trend of that game going though with the Chiefs and Vikings, and I'm going with Kirk Cousins because again they got to keep up. They got to keep it up in that matchup, and I think it's going to be a real high scoring game. And he was 6,900 compared to
everyone
Mahomes
say
8,200. Yeah. So
There
Mike,
you go. Doug just saved me.
Mike, who's your running backs?
Real quick, I don't think Matt said a price, did you? But Stafford's 5,600, just so
Yeah,
we can get that out
5,600.
there. My running backs. I got scared for a second. I was like, I don't have Brian Robinson in my lineup. It's Bijan Robinson is my first running back. I think.
Yeah.
This is the week that he just explodes against Houston. He's 7,700. One of the more expensive, but I think it's worth it. And my other running back, I went Joe Mixon. Cardinals can't stop the run, and Joe Burrow can't pass the ball. So this is a perfect opportunity to Joe Mixon to go in there and destroy. And he's 6,400.
Okay,
You have
Joe.
both of those, don't you, Joe?
No, I'm gonna be so mad if you win this week because my first two, when I made my lineup, the first two guys I picked, right, that I was doing the rest of my team around was Bijan Robinson and Joe Mixon, and then I completely changed my lineup.
Okay.
So I'll be very upset if you win. Yeah, I can't believe you picked both of them. That's so funny. Anyway, so my first running back, Breece Hall, 5,400. Like we touched a little earlier. I think they're going to try to run the ball this game against Denver. They want to get him more involved in this offense. They've already talked about the 1 year reunion of the injury. He knows that. He knows he's going to want to do something this week. I think he's a good value at 5,400. And Rossi's going to love this pick. Jaylen Warren. I'm getting on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah, there we go.
And I took Jaylen Warren at 4,900, mainly because I think this offense does not have it right now. I'm thinking Matt Canada is going to try and do some more screen passes. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls this week. And I think Jaylen, for Matt Canada's system, runs the ball better in his scheme. So I think Jaylen could have a good game this week because Tomlin said something's got to change. I'm still waiting. I got no alerts about any staffing changes, which is fucking annoying, but hopefully Jaylen
All right,
Warren.
save that for a beef of the week.
Matt, who's your two running backs?
First running back, I don't really have to say much about because Joe just did, is Breece Hall, who I built my team somewhat around. All pretty much the same reasons, and they're playing Denver. And the second running back is the Devon A-Chain. I just think the train's going to keep on rolling against the Giants. I think he's going to out-snap Mostert, and he's going to make magic happen. I mean, 8 rushes last week for like 100+ yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't even know what his average is, but A-Train, but there was an A-Train, but again, the price is right, both of them. HN
6,100 for HN.
6,100, 54 for Hall, 5,400.
All right, my two running backs. We're kind of all on the same page here. I went Bijan Robinson, and again, he was at 7,700. I do think this is going to be his week to explode here. Should be at least. Tyler Algier last week, he didn't really do much, right? So maybe they are making that transition now.
Yeah.
Earlier than I thought it was going to happen, but we'll see. And then Jaylen Warren. I went with Jaylen Warren as well for a lot of the same reasons Joe did. And also because it was cheap. He was 4,900. So I like the price on it.
Yeah, like we're not thinking on same pages. So this is interesting.
This is scary. Yeah.
Well, there's less people to choose from because there are buys. So it makes it
bye weeks. Yeah.
That's true too.
That's a good point. Good point.
Good point, Michael. All right, Mike, your wide receivers. Who are they?
All right, my 3 wide receivers. My spend up guy, I went Justin Jefferson. I put my money where my mouth is, saying that's going to be a shootout, 9,400. So obviously the most expensive, I think the most expensive guy you can get in DraftKings this week.
Yeah.
And my second wide receiver, I went Garrett Wilson. Again, we talked a lot of Jets. It's the Broncos defense. we already talked about Wilson enough, so 6,000. I'm taking that. And then my third wide receiver, I got Zay Flowers at 5,500. Because again, they're going against the Steelers, and the Steelers are bad at all facets of the game. So I'm taking a chance for Lamar to have those check downs and Zay to, yeah, well, that's the one thing that Lamar can avoid. So, and Zay to take one of the house.
Yeah, TJ Watt's the good player that you guys have on the team. Joe, who's your 3 wide receivers?
So this one Mike was right on. Obviously, went with the Jet JJ, 9,400 shootout. You got to bounce back from Kansas City scoring. I think it's a no-brainer. Second guy, Mike Thomas at 4,900. He sees a good amount of targets. So I'm hoping they can hit on a couple. Patriots defense is depleted, as we touched on Monday. Gonzalez, I think, just went to the IR now.
We got JC Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looked real good this year on the Chargers. So I think that's a sweet matchup. And I'm really shocked Mike did not take this guy, but I'm going with him his first game of the season. Give me Jameson Williams at 4,000.
Oh no.
I'm going big. It's only 4,000. I spent big, so I was looking for deals in that lower bracket because I spent so much on a couple key guys.
Boom, guys.
He's a boomer bust, and I'm going for the boom.
He is, and he also is limited. So you definitely, I mean, you have the potential for boom for sure, because all he needs is one catch to the house. But he is going to be limited, so you're not going to get as much chance as you normally will.
No, but when you go with like a top heavy thing, that's what you.
It's only 4,000. Yeah,
that's what a DK Line's all about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Matt, who's your wide receivers?
I started with Olave, 6,900, coming off one reception, not even 10 yards last week. I think
3 yards.
Want to get yes. They're going to want to get him involved this week. They have to get him involved this week. And all the reasons Joe said, Christian Gonzalez, Judon's going too, right? I mean,
Judon's on one.
They're not going to be able to get as well of a rush. Second guy, Jalen Waddle coming 7,500 against the Giants. He came off his concussion last week, a little bit of a slower game. Another reason to get him involved.
Who's your third guy?
Wide receiver? I did want to get a piece of the Chiefs Vikings game, so I did go with Addison for 5,300.
Yeah,
it's going to be a shootout. All the same reasons, not as pricey as Jefferson. And we're hating on that Chiefs secondary. I mean, well, that Chiefs secondary is pretty good. I mean, say what you want about them, but they definitely built. And I think that Addison might be the guy that's not covered.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah. He's another brain bust guy.
He was my start of the week.
I had Chiefs wide receivers that I kept moving around, but then when I found Williams, that's when I pivoted from them. But I think more have a big game.
We were breaking up a little bit.
Guys
go ahead.
Tried to go after DJ more hard, right? Just saying it's no. Trevor's 6 points.
Doug definitely froze. He's over there talking.
No,
he's the one that. Oh, here we go.
Continue talking.
Doug,
we back? All right, good. We're back now.
We're back.
All right.
I'm a little behind you guys because Mike said you're back, and I was like, no, he's out. Okay, yeah, he's back. So.
Yeah, you've been lagging for the last half hour, Matt.
Yeah, Matt, you've been lagging. Yeah.
All right,
let's go.
Let's move quick here.
Doug needs his receivers.
Yeah, let's move quick here. So I'm going Jamar Chase. I'm hoping this is the week. I'm going to keep on going back to the well until he gets that boom game. I'm not confident in Joe Burrow at all, but we'll see. You never know. Chase is the one guy, like we said on Monday, he's the one guy I'm confident with because he's just going to keep on feeding him. I actually switched out my second receiver, and I gotta check that again, but because I threw Tyler Boyd in there, but I'm obviously not going to do that. I'm not going to have 2 Bengals on there. Michael Wilson, I have him on there. I think that could have been his breakout game. Hopefully they keep on feeding him. You know what? I'm gonna go with a flyer here on the fly.
How much
here.
is Wilson?
So Wilson was only
3,700.
3,700. Chase was 7,900. I'm gonna do the little flyer option here and get back into that Chiefs game. And I'm gonna go Kadarius Toney for 4,300.
All right,
Oh,
that's one I
okay.
like.
That's another boom bust guy. All right, so those are mine. Mike, what's your tight end?
Tight end, Tyler Higbee. He's 4,100 going against the Eagles. The Eagles are the second worst against tight ends. It seems like they're always bad against tight ends every single year. So I think he's a safe option.
All right, Joe, who's yours?
Tight end. Mike hit it. It's Travis Kelce. I went big on this game. I went real big on this game. I spent all the money because I'm with Rossi. I think it hits the over, and Travis Kelce is going to eat hard.
Smart, man. I mean, one of us is going to do well because a lot of us picked these players in it, but there were some different players that were picked. Matt, who's your tight end?
I went with Dallas Goedert. At 4,200, I liked him the best. The coach said that he is still a part of the game script. I've watched him. I mean, it seems like him and Hurts are not on the same page. Maybe, I mean, he was just what? He could have scored 2 touchdowns in a couple of the weeks I've seen him. He goes this way, Hurts throws it this way, so it's just a matter of them getting on the right page. And I think this is the week for him.
His ADOT,
and this is the cheapest you're going to get him too.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. His ADOT this year, which is average depth of target, is 3 yards.
Yeah, that can't be. That was one game though. I mean, that was
no for the season. That's for the season. That's his ADOT for the year. He's not running down. He's not running down the field. So
I don't know if you watched week 2 with him though, but it was like they were just trying to feed him targets, and they were all within like the 5-yard mark. Mike probably saw it. He was just shoving that.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of.
I'm sure that
screens behind the line of scrimmage type of stuff. So
yeah, that skews the numbers.
That one game, but
all right. So I'm jumping right back into that game again, and I got TJ Hawkinson. He's going to be my stack with Kirk Cousins because I did not want to pay for JJ.
No.
So Mike, who's your flex?
My flex again. I already talked about him. He's my sleeper. It's Wan'Dale Robinson. He's 3,000. So by getting him in my lineup, I was able to spend elsewhere. So nice and cheap option.
Joe, yours?
So it was very limited at money when I got to my flex spot. And nobody's going to like this name, but he had 6 targets last week and he had 4 for 60. I'm taking Tyler Conklin, and I'm using a tight end in my flex because it's the best value I could find for the dollar amount I had left at that point. And
how much was he? What did you say?
He was 3,200.
Okay.
So I was down to I think that was the exact number I had left. So he was the best player at that price. And I think with the superstars this week in that matchup, I'm fine with it.
He was the scraps you had. But if he hits the touchdown,
if he hits a touchdown with what he did,
then you should have a monster week if you get a touchdown out of him. Matt, who's your flex?
So I don't really do DK. So how I was built this was basically my tight end.
I didn't want you to say that on air, Matt.
This is my first thought. This is like but I went Garrett Wilson, who should have been a receiver, but Joe said all the reasons.
Oh, that's fine.
That doesn't matter. But stuff like that all the time, Matt.
Yeah, I kind of built all the skill positions, then went tight end.
That's fine.
Hence Goddard.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very common. I feel that's a common way to go.
Yeah.
So I went with Garrett Wilson. He's playing Denver. Pretty much the same reasons Joe said. 6,000. I wanted more of the Jets against Denver.
Yeah, we beated that horse to death. What Rossi?
You said same reason Joe said. It was me that had Garrett Wilson in the lineup.
Oh, sorry, Rossi. Sorry.
God, he can't let Joe get any credit.
I must have been sleeping at that point.
Yeah, he probably. Yeah. All right, my flex. I went a tight end at flex as well, actually, with Mark Andrews. And it was
paid for one.
I paid. Well, he's 5,500. I didn't think it was that bad for Mark Andrews. He's still the top target there, but but I usually fill my flex in last as well. So it's what you have, and that was the best value I saw at 5,500.
Steelers don't cover tight ends well. I can admit that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so hopefully,
I mean, I don't hope so, but
I hope
I've
so
accepted
for
it.
this. Yeah, Mike, who's your defense?
Defense, I went with New Orleans Saints. They were 3,000 going
Gotta
against
hurt,
one of the
Doug.
worst offenses I've ever seen in my life. Mac Jones is absolutely horrendous. So easy pick.
That's all right. We had 20 years of dominance. You guys can pile on now. Joe, who's yours?
I go low on defense. I hope I hit a low price defense in there. Boom. I went with the
Tennessee.
Titans for 2,400. I'm just hoping that can Richardson run on them somewhat. Probably. I'm not worried about that. I'm just hoping they don't get allowed too many points, and I'm hoping they can get a turnover or two off of the rookie.
Matt, where'd you go with D?
I went with Mike with the same as Mike with the Saints. Same reasons.
Just
Weak
piling on.
offense.
Piling on.
New England is just very boring. Very boring. They're stuck in the 90s.
90s,
Early
stuck in the
2000s.
60s.
Early 2000s. Yeah.
50s
pretty
maybe.
much. I was being nice.
Joe, I'm with you. I went Titans. I love the price at 2,400, and against a rookie quarterback, maybe he will make a couple mistakes. So
Yeah, I mean they looked good against the Bengals last week. If they can hold the
They did.
Bengals,
held him to 9 points. So I was surprised that it was 2,400. Honestly, that's why I went that route. All right, do you guys want to talk guys that you are avoiding this week?
I have a couple. I don't have one for every position, but real
Just
quick.
run through them. Yeah, run through them.
Yeah,
run through yours
I'm
first.
avoiding Jared Goff. So they're playing the Panthers. I don't think he's going to be needed that much. I'm avoiding Kyron Williams. Well, Jared Goff is 6,300. Kyron Williams is 6,700, and it's the Eagles D line. I'm again not being biased, but it's hard to run on that line. And then I'm avoiding my sit of the week, the Bengals D. They were 3,700, one of the better options. So,
Okay,
I mean, one of the more expensive options. I meant, not better.
Joe, who was your avoid list?
I actually I don't usually have that many, but this week there's a lot of guys I don't like. Daniel Jones, 5,800. Wouldn't pay that for him, even though Miami's got a weak pass defense. They've looked terrible, and Miami just got blown out by the Bills. They're not going to let it happen 2 weeks in a row. I'm with Rossi with Kyron Williams. 6,700 is too high of a risk with the hip injury. T. Higgins, 6,600 for the drops that he's had, and then he's got the rib injury.
He's hurt,
No
yeah.
fucking way.
I don't think he's going to play though.
I mean, it's still the possibility. Don't even put him in your lineup is what I'm trying to say, I guess. Judy at 6,300. This offense doesn't look like it can get on the same page, and it's a bad matchup against the Jets secondary. I don't like Hunter Henry, even though he's had a good year. Gesicki's gotten more snaps, and they're growing each week, and Saints don't allow a lot against tight ends. Kyle Pitts at 3,300 because you should just never roster Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, just throw that in there.
I wouldn't take him if he was free. Yeah, I had to throw that in.
You wouldn't
And
take
then
him
my
for
last
$1.
thing- Nah, not at all. And then my last thing is just a really efficient, I think, low-cost stack. Goes with Matt Stafford. I'm actually surprised he didn't stack him with either one of his guys. You stack him with Puka, who's a little higher at 77, or Tutu at 5,300. I think could be a boom stack this week if you're looking for a lower price quarterback.
Okay, Matt, who's your avoid list?
I got a few. I mean, actually saying that, I put, again, 7,700 for Nakua with Cup coming back. Because he's going to lose a lot of targets. So if Cup plays, if Cup doesn't play, I'm right there with you, Joe. I mean, put him in there. He's historic right now. Anthony Richardson, Tennessee Titans defense, really good against the run. What is he, like 4 or 5 highest quarterback on the list?
7,200.
Probably wouldn't do that. Yeah, so I'd probably avoid that. Tennessee's pretty solid against the run. Probably going to force him to pass a bit. We don't know if he could do that yet. I mean, we know he's a great quarterback, but he has some growing to do. I avoid
He's a great player.
Waller.
Yeah, he's a good football
Waller,
player.
yeah. Waller, 5,400.
Okay.
He hasn't really done anything, in my opinion. I mean,
That's not an
earn
opinion. That's
5,400.
fact, actually.
Yeah, that's a
Right,
fact,
as of
yeah.
right now, that's
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything to be 5,400. You know, he's right there with Goddard. I mean, if at least Goddard's getting
Let's not
targets.
get crazy. Let's not get crazy.
And
That
I
about
didn't
it?
really like Raheem Mostert for the price, only because Chan was $100 cheaper.
Yeah,
And I think Chan is the guy there now,
I like
moving
it.
forward.
All right. Yeah, a few of my guys. So I went Joe Burrow at 6,200. I'd rather have Stroud at 6,000 until Burrow shows that he can play quarterback again in the NFL. I don't want anything to do with that. Saquon Barkley, I thought he was too much at 8,100. I don't even know if he's playing or not. Again, that's another guy. But even if he does play, I don't want him at 8,100. JJ actually, Justin Jefferson was in a void for me at 9,400, just because of the price. Just the price. Joe's making the face.
Doug,
I felt like
he could go for 200 yards this game.
he
This game's going to
might.
be
He
insane.
might.
If they're down, he has to go off.
But I feel like the Chiefs know that a little bit coming into
This
this.
guy. This
Um,
fucking
I
guy.
feel like every team knows that. Doesn't mean you can stop them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
no team could stop him this year, and they know he's getting
Again,
the ball. Like
I don't hate the player.
Boo this man.
Yeah, right.
Boo!
It's not the player. It's the $9,400. I just felt like it would deplete my team too much going forward with that. Who was your flex, Joe? Who'd you have as a flex?
Conklin, man.
Conklin.
money.
Yeah. I didn't want
Fucking
Conklin on my
money.
team. That's basically the
I
reason.
mean, I also spent the highest price on 3 positions, so
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Goddard, actually, Matt was one of the guys. I just have 4,200. I'd rather have Higbee at 4,100. That was all really for that. Eagles, Mike. I got the Eagles on my avoid list again. They were 3,900. I think they were like the second or third
expensive.
most. Yeah,
that's expensive
Second, yeah.
for how bad they are against the pass.
they're against a pretty good Rams offense, actually. So I thought that
Yeah.
was too high. So, anyways, that's it. Boys, you got anything else to say about tonight's game or anything else?
No, I'm good.
DJ Moore's got 80 yards already, though.
Yeah,
Jesus.
someone is
Oh.
running right now.
That first drive, he had
What just
2
happened
for
behind
70
you?
and a touchdown. 2 for
Khalil
70.
Herbert just had a monster run. Yeah, my boy. Khalil. All right, boys. So for Mike, Joe, Matt, I'm Doug. We'll see you guys next time. Later.
We should have called